This is no debate. Everybody wants children to be safe on their way to school.
But there are huge arguments over whether seatbelts are the best, most cost-effective method to do that.
The I-Team's Mike Campbell went looking for answers at the world's leading bus crash testing facility in Indianapolis.
We want to warn you, the video they capture and shared with Mike, even using their crash test dummies, could be upsetting.
Onboard GoPros are armed.
The engineers at the ME company spend 3 weeks putting all the cameras and sensors on buses to gather information about what happens during crashes. Then they deliberately wreck their buses.
It's absolutely important. It's our kids we're talking about.
Melissa Dobbs has spent 24 years working at ME and in their Center for Advanced Product Evaluation, or CAPE. She admits the sights and sounds of the wrecks are chilling. Even worse is what happens to the dummies inside the bus. Current federal law calls for compartmentalization of children on board buses, meaning high seat backs for protection.
It's effective in a frontal crash when a child is in an actual seated position, but it's a very violent form of safety. So you have a child literally slamming into the back of the seat in front of it, deforming that seat, potentially breaking a nose, potentially a concussion.
Dobbs told me the images are much different when the fake children on the bus are in three-point seatbelts. The differences are even more dramatic when ME tests rollover crashes.
The bus going to its side.
Dobbs says they test using their in-house simulator. The unbelted crash test dummies are violently thrown into other students across the aisles and face first into the roof. Compare that to the tests with subjects wearing belts.
They stay where they're supposed to stay. They stay away from the roof. They stay away from other kids that they could be interacting with.
On Ohio roads, the only place in an enclosed vehicle that you're not required to wear seatbelts for your safety is on a bus. This debate is hot in Ohio because of what happened here in Clark County last August. A driver crossed the center line and hit a Northwestern Schools bus, forcing that bus to roll onto its side. 11-year-old Aiden Clark was ejected and killed during the crash. 21 of the other 51 students on board suffered injuries. This mother had 2 sons on that bus.
I rolled up on that scene. I just broke down because I thought the worst.
Fisher has been advocating for seatbelts on buses over the last 9 months. Governor Mike DeWine created a school bus safety task force to look at that issue. The group ended its work by recommending seatbelts, but not making them mandatory. What goes through your mind?
We've seen it a lot, so it's disappointing but not surprising.
I suggested to Dobbs that many school districts and lawmakers are worried about paying for a seatbelt upgrade. She says cost shouldn't be a factor for modern buses with a lifespan of about 15 years.
So over the life of a bus, seatbelts cost about $5 per kid per year. So it is not a dramatic undertaking.
Dobbs said seatbelts only add $7,000 to $10,000 to the price tag of a new bus, which averages $115,000. And the governor seems to want the state to help.
We shouldn't have schools in a situation where they buy a bus and they say, well, we can't afford the extra $10,000 or $15,000 that costs to do ABC.
And Mike joins us live. Mike, I know there's talk about the state creating an official fund districts can draw from to pay for seatbelts on buses.
Yeah, and so far that hasn't happened yet, James. I can also tell you that there was one state lawmaker that proposed a bill that would make seatbelts mandatory on Ohio school buses on the road. And he did that about a week after the Clark County crash. And so far that proposed legislation has not gained any traction.
And of course, we'll keep following that legislation. Mike Campbell live for us this afternoon. Thank you, Mike.